Welcome to another edition of Let's Rage Coogs. I am Kris Gardner. Joining me is Andy Yanez and Dunlap. We're going to talk about the Coogs getting whitewashed today, 41-0 Manhattan. Get ready for your comments, folks. Be right back.
It's time for the original Houston postgame show. Let's Rage Coogs.
I'm on YouTube.
All right. I am inside Fertitta Center.
Not on YouTube.
Andy is live outside Fertitta Center.
Check it out. Thank you. I appreciate
He's at the
it.
crib. We're going to talk about it. 41-0. Y'all got it, because I said it last Saturday. This is a setback. How about them mighty K-State Wildcats?
Big 12 program. They looked real good, Chris, and they completely dominated the Houston Cougars, 41-0. Donovan Smith by far had his most terrible game as a Houston Cougar. The offensive line struggled once again. The defense struggled to contain K-State's offense, particularly in the first half. And first time that U of H has gotten shut out in a long time. And like you said, Chris, a major step back from the optimism that had been created a week ago against the Texas Longhorns.
The real quick today on the TV crew said as the Cougs first getting shut out for the first time since 2000.
23 years.
Yeah, I'm not surprised with the outcome of today's game, being how well Kansas State plays at home. And I'm honestly just going to give total credit to Kansas State. And from what I watched, they played really well. Houston offense didn't really do anything. Defense gave up a lot of plays early, was able to get a few stops, give our offense a few chances. And I think the defense just wore down, being on the field for so many plays. But other than that, I think I still feel the same I felt last week in regards to Houston. I think this was just a tough loss on the road against a really, really good home football team.
I think it was a case of a better coached team than Texas, and a head coach not taking the foot off the gas like Steve Sarkisian did last Saturday. Both teams up 21-0. One team decided to cruise a little bit and disrespect Houston, gave Coogs life.
I don't know about that, Chris. Chris, what do you?
No, 41-0. 41-0, Dayon. 41-0 Dayon. You need to stop defending Dana. 41-0.
I'm not defending Dana whatsoever.
Last week you were. You had doubts. You backtracked last week, Dayon. Last week you backtracked.
And that's because I go by what I see. I'm not a prisoner of the moment. And you just made a statement. I want to get some clarification on what you mean. What do you mean Texas took their foot off the gas? What does that mean? Did Texas allow Houston to come back into their game? Is that what you were referring to?
I said on last week's show, when he went for that fake field goal, horrible play call, horrible choice of a call, he right there showed he did not respect Houston. That gave the Cougs life. They stopped them. The Cougs went ahead to score and trailed at halftime 21-14 rather than 24-7.
Okay, so that's letting the foot off the gas, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Because if they convert that, then it's a great play call and the momentum continues. So if they
it was not a great play call.
If they executed
a toss back to your kicker is not a great play call.
Yes, if it's not executed correctly, I'm agreeing with you. But if it's executed the right way and it's successful, then anyone can. Then the narrative wouldn't be they left it. All right, it doesn't even matter. Go ahead, though.
All he had to do is kick the field goal. That's all he had to do. He make it. It's 24-7. That's all he had to do. He decided to fake it. He did not respect Houston last week, Dayon. Chris Kleiman last week, the 3-3-5. Oh, it was great defense, great adjustments. It was 21-0 last week. It was 21-0 today. It ended up being 41-0. Come on now. Here are comments from not from me. I understand you're trying to be level-headed, but this is year 5. It's unacceptable. Texas disrespected Houston. And unlike every other game, the Cougs took advantage. Credit to them last week. They took advantage. They didn't today. Chris Kleiman saw, hey, why am I doing what they did? And more importantly, got to get this out because it's the money, folks, as Andy reminded me. Welcome to Let's Rage Coogs, presented by the Lazarine Law Firm. Dan Lazarine founded the Lazarine Law Firm to provide legal representation to individuals who have been injured or arrested in the greater Houston area. Dan Lazarine understands that bad things sometimes happen to good people. Worse, false allegations are made every day. With offices in Houston and Sugarland, Dan is equipped to handle your legal needs in Harris County and surrounding counties, including Fort Bend County. If you have been injured or find yourself in legal trouble, call the Lazarine Law Firm at 281-720-8551 or visit Dan online at www.lazarinelawfirm.com.
So, Chris, Dan, when it comes to the state of the football team now, we gotta let's focus on this game in particular. Whether they, Chris, it seems like coming from what you just said, you feel that Houston's ability to come back and the performance they were able to do against the Longhorns last week had more to do with Texas and them not being respected more so than the Houston Cougars finding something to work, building momentum, and being able to give them quite a scare that it came down to literally the final inches. It came down to almost the final play of the game.
The Cougs got robbed on that last spot last Saturday. They had a chance to win that game. Dana said Monday he'd have gone for 2, and the Cougs could have won. 30-31. When you give a team life and take advantage of it, that's what can happen. K-State did not give the Cougs life today. 41-0. Better team. K-State is a better coach team than Texas. Texas may have better talent, but K-State has better coach. Go ahead and comment, Dan. Laugh. You don't want to get trashed today.
Dan, you're muted.
Yeah, credits to K-State, man. They're a really good home team. They played a really good performance offensively, defensively, up front, O-line, D-line, linebackers. They played a complete game. I was very impressed with them, but they're always a really good home team. And so, credit to Kansas State for sure. I don't know if Kansas State coach is better than Steve Sarkisian. I won't go that far. But really good win for Kansas State. Very impressive. Back-to-back shutouts against TCU and then against Houston today. Hats off to Kansas State, man. They look good. They're a really good home team. They are every year a really good home team.
Well, Kansas State certainly has a team that seems to be clicking on all cylinders after a bit of a slow start to start the season. It looks like they're putting together a strong resume that they could see them back in the Big 12 championship game this season. As for Houston, let's start with those struggles on offense, because for the past 2 weeks in a row now, it's kind of interesting that the script has kind of flipped than when conference play first started for the Cougars, where they were getting off to okay starts, and then in the second half, it was a complete meltdown. These past 2 games, the offense has just been non-existent to start the game, and like you said, Chris, today against Kansas State, it just was absent, period, all day long. Because Donovan Smith really didn't even get over 100 passing yards in today's game.
It was a slow start today. I'm really of the opinion the defense, with the injury, Nelson Caesar is out, that set them back. I don't know why they decided to defer. The defense has struggled 2 straight games in first quarters. See what the offense could do, and see if the offense could get started, get the momentum going early. And then if they could have scored 3-0, 7-0, then I could have maybe flipped the field a little bit. But defense, K-State just marched down the field, 7-0. Cougs struggled 3 and out. Defense back on the field. K-State scored again, 14-0. Will Howard, what was he, at one point 12 for 12 in the first 12 passes? Maybe just try something different.
What would be something different? What do you think can change at this point?
I'm saying if you win the kickoff, receive the ball. Get the ball first. Start your own momentum. See if you can dictate tempo to the opponent rather than the other way around.
It's also worth noting on offense that Joseph Manjack did not suit up, did not play, did not even travel up to Kansas State for this matchup. But when it comes to the offensive struggles, Parker Jenkins had 56 rushing yards on 12 carries. But then once again, behind them, there's not much else. And that's been a big reason that offensive line, right side of the offensive line, keeps getting called for holding calls.
Right tackle. You're reading Jeb's mind,
Ruben.
Andy. You're
Yeah,
reading.
we
Yeah.
need a change in right tackle. And it goes back to the story in the spring when we saw an influx of transfers from the offensive line, and that's been that ugly pimple that's been on the face of the Houston Cougars offense all season long.
Yeah, the right side, the transfers hurt. Guys coming in, new system, new O-line coach. That has been one of the bigger concerns. It was going into the season. And overall, the right side of the line, O-line, has probably been the more disappointing part of the Cougs overall, because you're just not sure if it's going to be good enough to go against good teams. And holding penalties, he got beat again a few times. And against good teams, K-State is a good team. I mean, they were in the Big 12 championship game last year. They probably got a shot to do it again this year. It's just certain matchups are bad for Houston, especially when the O-line struggles.
Darren, anything you'd like to add in terms of the offensive struggles in particular in this game against the Wildcats?
I think you guys pretty touched upon it. I think offensive line didn't really get a push, wasn't able to really run the football, wasn't able to sustain any drives, which kept the defense on the field even longer and which prohibited them to start missing more tackles and give up more plays. But it's hard when you're on the field 70-80% of the game, it seems like. And so offensively, I think Donovan – I didn't see as good of a game as him as I would like. I think he missed some throws, left some plays out there, and I think he could have played better. But other than that, the offensively was just they really was non-existent. They didn't really do anything today. They didn't sustain the drive. They really didn't do anything. I think Donovan Smith definitely could have played better. I expected him to play better, being with his experience, being in the Big 12, traveling, knowing how good K-State is. But, I mean, he didn't.
When the defense got the fumble recovery and the Cougs offense got a -2 yards and then missed the field goal, you just kind of feel that life gets sucked out of the team right there. It's like you finally made a stop and we got no points. So that kind of hurt right there. And then in case they took advantage, and that's what you have.
Yeah, Chris, you hit it. You hit the nail on the head on that one. That kind of, regardless of how early it was, that was kind of the turning point in the game right there. That they got that turnover. It looked like potentially you could see a repeat of last week's script, 14-0 at that point. They got the ball around the 30, 32-yard line in that area. In K-State's 32-yard line.
26-yard line.
26-yard line. So they were in good position to they had to capitalize and turn it into a touchdown, and that's the best case scenario. But even come away with some points, and instead of getting momentum, they go backward 2 yards, and they settle for a long field goal, and it was pushed off by the wind. And from that point forward, that was the best opportunity the Cougars had at putting up points. And if they scored a touchdown on the field, maybe it's a little bit of a different game, but they weren't able to. And today, on the point, Donovan Smith today, again, you got to give big credit to the Wildcat defense because obviously they had a lot to do with it. But he seemed just off target when it came to accuracy today, and that's a big part why he was 13 for 26, 13 for 28.
And that's the thing that the staff, Donovan, got to figure out the reason for his slow starts. I mean, I'm sure he's preparing all week for the opponent. These first quarters, the last few weeks, have not been up to par. And maybe, again, just trying to mix things up with that first quarter start. If the team wins the coin toss, start with the ball. See if Donovan, just a little change, gets him going early. And if that gets him going early, then that can carry over to the rest of the team. But the defense, last 2 games, getting run over on that opening drive. The offense pressure, got to get something to match it, and they don't. And it just kind of snowballs from there. So just try to mix it up next week. But as Reno says, K-State is a complete team. Offense, defense, special teams, all of it. Coaching especially, completely outclassed all the way around. Alba. K-State is a good team, but this was a bad showing all around. And I think part of it was a letdown. The team was hyped, playing the Longhorns tough, tight last week. That's who they feel is their rival. Sold-out crowd. TDECU made a great comeback, had a chance to win the game, actually. Didn't get it done. And then they come back with injuries to some key teammates this week. Getting fans shaking hands here at the stadium because they're Let's Rage Coogs. But it's just a letdown. And it's disappointing is how well the offense played last week, second through fourth quarter, and then come back today, first quarter, nothing. First half, total yards, less than 100 yards total. So it's disappointing on a lot of different perspectives. Got to bounce back next week.
Let's put a pin on that. I'd just like to remind everybody that they are watching Let's Rage Coogs presented by the Lazarine Law Firm. Dan Lazarine founded the Lazarine Law Firm to provide legal representation to individuals who have been injured or arrested in the greater Houston area. Dan Lazarine understands that bad things sometimes happen to good people, and worse, false allegations are made every day. With offices in Houston and Sugar Land, Dan is equipped to handle your legal needs in Harris County and surrounding counties, including Fort Bend County here in Texas. If you have been injured or find yourself in other legal trouble, call the Lazarine Law Firm at 281-720-8551 or visit Dan online at www.lazarinelawfirm.com for a consultation. Of course, we also like to shout out our secondary sponsor for today's episode of Let's Rage Coogs presented by the Lazarine Law Firm, and that's Star Pizza with multiple locations across the Houston area. Star Pizza is your go-to spot before or after the game for some hot, delicious pizza.
And I want to give
your point.
Go ahead. I just want to give a thanks to Paul Rodgers for his super chat sticker here. Thank you for the contribution, Paul, to the show. Your statement, I think Dana's going to be back. You know, if the team finishes 6-6, Gus said it, but even more importantly, Chris Pesman said it. 6-6 this year, first year in the Big 12, bowl eligible, would be a success to Chris Pesman. Next year, second year in the Big 12, the fans have to determine if Dana comes back what they will do and what they will accept next year. I haven't changed. I don't think Dana's the right man for the job.
Well, what I was going to get at to kind of build on your point, as the Fertitta Center is starting to ramp up here as we get closer to the first exhibition game for the men's basketball team. But to your point, going up back to last week, where quarters 2 through 4, there was energy, there was excitement, there was just a level of intensity. Of course, it was a home game for the Houston Cougars, so that definitely played a big factor in the atmosphere that they were just in. And this was really their first road game outside of the state of Texas in that Big 12. 60,000 plus people packed in. It was a homecoming for the Wildcats in today's game. But the biggest things, energy and effort for the Houston Cougars, it was non-existent. And that doesn't fall on the players. It falls on the coaches, which that's just it continues to boil over, continues to build up that frustration because you see those flashes. And the big kind of theme topic coming out of last week's game is that last week against Texas, that's a flash. That's kind of the big picture. That's what the Houston Cougars football team program could be if they are able to build it up successfully. Now, fast forward a week later, and it is a completely different picture. And it's just kind of a stark reminder where I don't think the Houston Cougars are as bad as they showed today, but they're not necessarily close to that level that they showed they could be a week ago against Texas. And that's the frustrating part because which one is the real Houston Cougars?
You know, and that's part of it because Longhorns and Sooners are leaving after this season. K-State right now is probably the best team in the conference. Best coach overall. May not have a lot of 4 or 5 stars. You coach up players, you don't make mistakes, you give yourself a chance to win. And that's what K-State does. So maybe the team that Houston should compare itself to for the class of football is K-State. That's what you need to aim for. But Keenan says, let me pull it up. I think a lot of fans agree with this. We're a basketball school. We're a basketball school. We're a basketball school. But it comes down to it. I can make it as simple as some folks, I think Ryan Monso, colleague Go Coogs, has said. K-State had a winning record. Dana against teams' winning record is not very good, especially at Houston. So are you really surprised by today's performance? I think the loss, the margin, yes. But Houston losing to a team with a winning record, no.
Yeah, I didn't see any issues in regards to energy and effort. Players running to the football, players trying to tackle. And so that's effort. I think it was execution. That's the difference. The ability to execute consistently throughout a full quarter game or through even a full quarter or consistently execute. That's the difference, especially on the road. I mean, it's you can't understate or we can't understate how hard it is to win on the road. It was hard for Texas to win at Houston on the road. And so, I mean, game in and game out, it's going to be hard to win on the road. And so I was disappointed with the lack of scheme offensively, ability to scheme players open. We have the talent. Everyone has the talent in regards to Smith, Brown, Golden, Jenkins, Sneed. So it's just about scheming players open and getting them in the right position to make routine plays consistently to move the ball. And I put that on the coaching staff. I didn't see nothing in regards to energy and effort. Kids not out there trying, competing. That's what energy and effort means to me when I watch the game. And I didn't see that. I think it's execution.
But at halftime in the TV broadcast, the halftime reporter said that that's what Dana Holgorsen got into the locker room for their lack of energy and effort. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I misheard. Did I hear that correctly?
I know the game more than them. I don't listen to them or listen to Dana and be like, I have to agree with what they're saying. Okay, I disagree with Dana. I don't agree with Dana. I agree with the execution. I give that to Dana, and they didn't execute. I don't think it was the effort. I think him letting the players off the hook or letting himself off the hook by saying energy and effort. No, they're out there trying, giving their hardest, giving their effort. They didn't execute. You didn't put them in a good position to execute, in my opinion. It's only my opinion. I know the game. I don't, but that's just me. I don't know.
Well, one of those bad execution plays came in that first half. And it came early. It came on the very opening drive when the Houston defense gets them on 3rd and 15. That's a golden opportunity where they're talking about how good Kansas State is and being able to score an opening drive touchdown. They gave them a 3rd and 15 situation, and K-State dumps it down for screen and it turns into the first down. And that was a big reason that led them and into the opening drive touchdown. And it was downhill from there.
Yeah, that's it. The screen call was a great call.
That's a scheme call. That's scheming a player open to get them to make a play. That's just not lining up my guys better than yours. That's what I mean by scheme. That's scheming a good play to get a good result.
Okay, since you know everything, you know the game.
I don't know everything.
Then who's at fault then?
I don't know everything.
Is it Dana? Is it Doug Belt? Is it the special teams coach? Who is it?
It's a combination. I don't think you point the finger at one place. I think it's a combination of all of those things. All of those.
Are the players at fault as well?
Yes, because they're out there playing.
Yes. Okay, so today was a collective effort, everybody today.
Yes, but it starts up top, in my opinion, with the head coach.
Okay, so last week you didn't say all these things. Last week you backtracked a little bit, saying
no, I didn't backtrack. I didn't backtrack last week. Let me finish. Let me tell you what I said last week. Are you listening? Last week, what I saw compared to that game, I felt differently in regards to. I think from when I saw against a high level competition at home, if they continue to play how they played, the potential is there, and I think that Dana has the potential to do it. And I also caveat there by saying, do I have faith in him doing it? No. But watching the game, I can see that they maybe 5 or 6 dogs away. And if he can get his team to play like they played last week consistently, then I think he can be able to do it. Do I have faith in him? Do I think he will? No, that's what I said. There's no backtrack. But I'm not finished yet. But another thing that I said last week was that, and I watched the game. It wasn't that I backtracked. Think he's a good coach. All of a sudden, no. But I have to give him credit for having his team ready to play. How they turned around, how they executed in that game.
But I'm going to say this: how much effort does it take to get your team ready to play against Texas, who is a bitter rival? They got teammates they probably had in high school, all those things. Big bad Texas. But he couldn't get them ready to play K-State. So is that the players' fault for not being ready to play against K-State? Or is that Dana's fault for not being able to get them ready to play against K-State? Which is you can't get hyped. You have to play certain teams and not everybody in the Big 12.
I just answered that question.
Okay, I'm asking you, whose fault is it? If the players got hyped to play against Texas, you said it's Dana's job too. Well, then whose job is to get hyped against everybody else but Texas? Because Texas won't be here in the Big 12 going forward. So will it be Dana's job to get everybody else hyped next year?
I just answered that question. It starts up top. It starts up top, and it trickles down to the players as well. Everyone's accountable.
So everyone's accountable.
That question. Everyone's is accountable for the performance that they displayed today. But it starts up top with the head coach. He's the head man.
Agreed.
He has them ready.
Agreed.
Last week he didn't have them ready to start the game. He didn't have them ready to start the game.
5 years he's been here. You said you don't have faith in him. It's been 5 years. He's not going to change in year 6, year 7. He is who he is.
That's cool. And I didn't backtrack nothing like I said. I just watched the game and I stated facts on what I've seen and gave my observation and my opinion on what I've seen on the last game. Just like I'm doing that today. Hold on, wait. I'm not. What am I saying? Where's the contradiction of what I said? I just explained it thoroughly well. Andy, are you hearing the contradiction?
What you also said is you don't have faith in him.
Correct.
So if you don't have faith in him, then he needs to go.
Okay, I never said he didn't need to go. When did I say he didn't need to go?
Dayon, you say.
When did I say he did need to go?
Dayon, you said you don't have faith in him if he can do this, if he can do that. You don't have faith in him yourself. So there's no if about it. He's not the right man for this job.
Okay, when did I say he was?
Then stop saying if he can. Stop saying if he can do this, if he can't. He can't. He's shown you and no one else that he can.
Okay, that's fine, but I'm not gonna say what he can do. I'm not the person to say what an individual is capable of doing, because if you see it next year and the team has had success and they're able to do something, people are like you who going to say that he can't is going to be looking in the mirror and have all these different reasons on what went right. Nope. So I'm not the type of person to say, but I will say, do I think he can? No, I'm consistent with that. Do I think he's the right man for the job? No. Do I there's no contradiction there. So what are you talking about?
You don't think he's the right man for the job, but if he can, okay.
Let's put a pin on it there, because in a perfect world, Dana Holgorsen proves all of us wrong and makes us eat crows. Doesn't seem like all three of us believe that that's going to be the case. But reminder, this is Let's Rage Coogs presented by the Lazarine Law Firm. Dan Lazarine founded the Lazarine Law Firm to provide legal representation to individuals that have been injured or arrested in the greater Houston area, including in Harris County and Fort Bend County, as well as offices in Houston and Sugar Land. If you have been injured or find yourself in other legal trouble, call the Lazarine Law Firm at 281-720-8551 or visit Dan online at www.lazarinelawfirm.com for consultation. Of course, we also like to say thank you to our secondary sponsor for today's episode of Let's Rage Coogs. With multiple locations across the Houston area, Star Pizza is your go-to stop before or after the game. Once again, that's Star Pizza, your go-to spot for some hot pizza. When it comes to this episode of the Houston Cougars football post-game show following the 41-0 loss to Kansas State, looking ahead next week, they're on the road. They're back within the state. They're going to play one of the teams that has surprisingly had a disappointing season in the Big 12, and that's the Baylor Bears. Not going to be an easy atmosphere. A rematch of the game that was supposed to take place in 2020, the pandemic year, and it got canceled less than 24 hours from kickoff. This is going to be a lot to tell whether or not that this iteration of the Houston Cougars can get up to 6 wins, because you would expect with Oklahoma State, Cincinnati, and UCF being the remaining games along with Baylor, they got to be Baylor to be able to win 3 more games in the season.
Keep talking, Andy. The Cougars doing the moment of silence. Reggie Chaney.
Dan, what say you? Do you think? What do you expect? So I think we can all agree that we can throw this game out the window just in terms of how badly it went. As whether you want to blame the coaching staff or the players, I agree. The blame deserves to be on all parties, because the players do have to go out there and execute. Coaches got to get them prepared and ready to play going forward against Baylor. It's an interstate or intrastate rival. You have that element of it, similar to Texas a week ago. What needs to change besides picking up more than 9 first downs and not getting shut out for all 60 minutes of the game.
I think a faster start. I think that's one thing Chris alluded to a second ago was maybe receiving the ball and trying to get your offense to jumpstart the game instead of being reactionary. And I think that's something that they should try to do on the road. Let your offense set the tempo because the defense has routinely gotten off to slow starts and been able to kind of buckle down and make in-game adjustments. But I think maybe try to get out to a fast start. Try to get in the offense in a rhythm, whether it be short passing game, running game, whatever is working and can work against their scheme based on what they see on film. But they have to get off to a faster start. And I think they should start with the offense to try to get Donovan in a good rhythm early.
I agree, and I think one way that you kind of hate to say they've gone away with it. Some of it is just they haven't had the opportunity to be able to execute, especially in this game against Kansas State, the short passing game, because that's something that, again, the offensive line continues to struggle to run block in particular. That's got to be something where you're trying to, like you said, Dayon, spark something on offense. In particular, get Donovan Smith in a rhythm. We saw a week ago, we've seen, quite frankly, the entire season, when he is able to get in a rhythm and he's hot. He makes some really good throws. When he's not, he looks like a completely different quarterback, and he misses some very bad throws. So that's most definitely key, and I think that could be one way to at least try to jumpstart something against the Baylor Bears team that it certainly looks like a much more winnable game than it did way back at the beginning of September.
All right, the tribute's done. The anthem is done. We're about less than 10 minutes from tip-off of the exhibition game here. I doubt Dana gets fired. He'll be back 5-7, 6-6. I think he'll be back. And as a comment, Chris B says right here, Dana is safe at least another year because of his contract extension and because of Tillman. And then it's going to be up to the marketing and the team and campaign, how they're going to promote next year to the fan base who does not believe Dana is the right man for this job. Come see us play. Yeah, he's back. We're going to do better next year, his second year in the Big 12. We'll see if he can turn around next year. A lot of fans don't believe he can. Some in media, me included, don't believe he's the right person for this job. If he proves me wrong, please do. I'm all for it.
All right, Chris, in particular, when it comes to something that's been said, it was mentioned during today's broadcast, TV broadcast, but the recruiting of this class, they said that they didn't recruit the players to play in the Big 12, they're recruiting for the American Athletic Conference. This is a program that they've known they're going to be a part of the Big 12 going back to 2021. I don't necessarily know about that excuse.
Yeah, I mean, that is an excuse some folks have made. As you said, he's had 2 years to get ready for the Big 12. You got to get bigger up front on the O-line. Losing guys on O-line set them back because the talent you lost and what you brought in is probably not the same, especially on that right side. You gotta start your teams up front, O-line and D-line, to compete against the bigger, stronger teams in the Big 12.
Chris, down before y'all speak from GoCoogs.com, or I'm on GoCoogs.com. Dana Holgorsen said his favorite quote post-game, he's in Kansas. Big 12 football. Big 12 football.
Well, yeah, he said that after losses. Okay. We'll see what he says next Saturday in Waco after they face the Bears. That's going to be an interesting game there. Coach Aranda's seat's kind of warm. Coogs. Betting line's probably going to be fairly close. But it's a road game, so we'll see which Coug team shows up.
Down, anything else you'd like to add about either today's game or looking ahead to Baylor and the remaining game of the season?
Nah, not necessarily. I think this game was an anomaly, and Kansas State, I give them a lot of credit.
I agree that Kansas State looks like they're headed right back for a seat in the Big 12 championship game if they don't end up winning the Big 12 championship outright for the second straight year in a row.
Yeah, because they didn't necessarily just do anything, just really, really impressive, explosive plays. They just played good, sound football, both sides of the ball. Good scheme, good plays, good coaching, good everything. And so, hats off to Kansas State. Homecoming on the road, hats off to them, man.
All right, Andy, you got about 5 minutes before tip-off. Lights going out here for the intros.
Yes, sir. We can start wrapping this up. Any final thoughts you'd like to add in terms of Houston and this complete, utter domination by Kansas State, 41-0?
Thank everybody for tuning in to Let's Rage Coogs. We always appreciate your support. Tell everyone about this show. As Deanna said, Andy said, this is the original post-game show of Houston football and men's basketball. Hoop season is here now. Got the exhibition game going on. Get ready to start. So continue supporting us throughout the season.
And there will be no post-game show for men's basketball.
Correct. Not today. For this one, yes.
I'll go first. People can find me on Twitter at @Yanez_5. Like Chris said, thank you guys for joining us. As you can see the background right there, they're getting ready to start inside the Fertitta Center in this building right there. So exciting times. We're back. It's basketball season, football season beginning to wind down as we're getting into the meat and potatoes of the football season, and hopefully the Houston Cougars football team can bounce back and look competent, because it's just disappointing in terms of being shut out 41-0 on the road against Kansas State.
No comments about them Texas Rangers today, I see.
Oh, damn, there's nothing we can say.
No comments about them Rangers today, I see.
Hats off to Garcia. You got to hats off to Garcia. My God.
El Bombi with the bomb last night.
There's nothing we can say. He shut up Houston. That's all I can say. Props to him.
Nah, man.
He's killing it.
No, I just want to see Houston continue to fight, see how they bounce back next week. I'll be tuned in to see how they respond, how the coaching staff responds, and how the players respond. They got to have some sense of pride. And glad basketball season is underway. Appreciate you guys supporting us. As always, go Coogs.